All right, so let's debunk some of the major myths, some of the things that you have thought for years and years and years and have been taught to you for years and years and years when it comes to the conventional exercising system. Okay? So most people believe that health is ultimately decided by fitness level. Basically meaning, this is when a lot of you see someone who looks fit or they're thin, and you immediately think, oh, they're healthy. They don't have health problems. That is an automatic for a lot of people. Is it not? You look at someone, they're thin, you think, oh, they don't have health problems. When it comes to disease and diagnosis, and especially in this country, only half of the people are overweight. The other half are thin. So it means that being overweight is no more a greater risk factor for disease than being thin is. Did you realize that? Thin people are not immune. People who seem to be fit are not immune. They aren't necessarily healthy. Okay? So it's important to understand that fitness is a simple way to perform a specific action with efficiency. Again, we talked about the 550-pound bench press. Someone who is fit that way can do it and do it with the most efficiency possible. Running 5 miles in a certain amount of minutes, or running 1 mile in a certain amount of minutes. I am not a runner. However, that doesn't mean I'm unhealthy, and it doesn't mean I'm unfit. So fitness, someone's fitness level, or their ability to perform a specific thing physically, is not a holistic definition of health. Fitness does not equal health. Can I say it back to me now? Fitness does not equal health. Do you believe what you just said? If you don't, if you're getting some kickback, I hope by the end of this lesson you'll believe that. Okay? Myth number 1. This is one of my greatest pet peeves in life, is to hear this statement. And I usually hear it from wives talking about their husbands. And I know it's not in every case, but I'm just saying, this is what I hear a lot. My husband can eat anything, and he doesn't gain a pound. I hate him. Just because someone doesn't gain a pound when they're eating junk does not make them fit and does not make them healthy. Can we get that? Again, I just told you, half of the people in this country that are diagnosed with disease and end up dying are skinny. Just because someone exercises a lot does not mean they can just start putting a bunch of junk in their body and think that nothing is happening, or that somehow the exercise they're doing is canceling out the toxicity that they're putting inside their body. Does that make sense? It's kind of common sense stuff. But a lot of us kind of have this built-in idea that if someone exercises enough, they're safe. And this just simply is not the case. Remember when I used the analogy of wanting to walk a certain amount and then turning around and not giving your body anything in return? If you ask more of your body, especially people who run long distances or who are extremely active, they're extreme exercisers, I would call them, they are in gravest danger if they are not eating appropriately. Can you understand that concept? If they're not giving back to their body and they're asking more from it, they are actually in much graver danger than someone who just does minimal activity. Because they're actually wearing their body down. Because as their body tries to recover and build back, there's nothing there. So the body ends up getting extremely stressed, and then eventually you have major health problems. Okay? So myth number 1, Say it with me. We got to get it through. I exercise a lot so I can eat whatever I want. It doesn't make sense anymore, does it? Okay, good. Myth number 2. Aging is an automatic reason to decrease movement, and it is natural to move less with age. I want to just read a few quick things for you here. Active older adults less likely to become cognitively impaired. Archives of Internal Medicine this year, July. Aerobic exercise reduces dementia risk, Mayo Clinic. This year. Alzheimer's brain damage could be prevented by regular exercise. The Journal of Brain Behavior and Immunity this year. Exercise training increases mitochondrial biogenesis in the brain. I'll explain that in just a second. American Journal of Physiology, Regulatory, Integrative, and Comparative Physiology this year. Study finds 15 minutes of moderate daily exercise. How many minutes did I just say? Oh, you're listening. I love it. 15 minutes. Study finds 15 minutes of moderate daily exercise lengthens life. University of Texas MD Anderson Cancer Center and Department of Epidemiology, published in The Lancet, which is a pretty prestigious medical journal. Our aging population is having an extreme problem with their neurological function and their brains. There is more neurodegeneration today than there ever has been in history. In this country, right here. I just read you a tiny, tiny amount of the research that's out there saying that a simple amount of movement can prevent these neurodegenerative problems. The lower the amount of movement in the body, the less mobile and less healthy it'll become. It's that simple. If you stop moving or if you begin to slow down, the time clock is going to get louder and louder. And I'm not just talking end of life. I'm talking quality of life. Because being unable to move and being in pain every time you move is not living. To me, that's more or less waiting to die. This is about quality of life, getting our quality of life back. You'll actually age faster based on how low your level of movement is throughout life. The less you move, the faster you're aging. Does that make sense? Pretty simple stuff. If your body isn't able to regenerate, if you don't keep those fluids moving, if you don't keep oxygen pumping to your tissues, you are going to age faster. This is an appropriate time to get up and start breathing a little bit. Let's do our normal exercise. See, now you get why I want you to stand up mid-round. Sitting for 30 minutes completely changes how your blood circulates, how much oxygen you have in your brain. It's not really healthy, actually, to sit this long. But I'm hoping this is worth it, and it'll lead to healthier behavior. Breathe deep. Breathe into your belly, not in your chest. Get some good breaths in. All right, one last deep breath. Go ahead and have a seat. Okay. Myth number 3. Deterioration of my joints and muscles is inevitable. How many people like that statement? Are we pretty pumped hearing deterioration of my joints and muscles is inevitable? I don't think anyone really likes to hear it, but I think a lot of you believe it's true. Based on the care you seek, based on the type of treatment plans you engage, and the type of lifestyles you live. Let's turn that on its head just for a second. Exercise boosts health by influencing stem cells to become bone, not fat, researchers find. This was an article that came out this year where they're beginning to find that just moving your body prompts stem cells to become bone instead of turning into fat cells. How many people would like their stem cells turning into bone and strong bones instead of fat cells? That'd be awesome. Is it probably also safe to say that if stem cells are being turned into bone, you're also going to have stem cells being turned into ligaments and connective tissue? Because when you're moving, your body is going to reinforce the areas that need functionality. And if you need strength in your knees, movement is going to help make sure stem cells are going into the bones to support the movement. Okay? Fitness and exercise tame inflammation and oxidative stress. Anyone here thinking about inflammation lately? Had pain? Arthritis? Exercise is a big reason why you would want, or inflammation is a big reason why you'd want to exercise. It will decrease your inflammation if you exercise. Now, I know for a lot of people there's a little bit of pain to start out with, and you have to move through that. But it's very plain to see, especially in the scientific literature, that doing so will decrease your need for pain meds and things like that, and it will decrease inflammation in your body, which is causing your pain. Arthritis. The majority of people who have it are couch potatoes. This was the Journal of Arthritis and Rheumatism in August, wrote this. The study came out. Basically said the vast majority of people who have arthritis do not move. They're inactive. Would that mean that inactivity is a significant risk factor for getting arthritis later in life? That's what the flip side of that statement, that journal is. The more you move, the less chance you have of getting arthritis. If you already have arthritis or inflammation in your joints, moving will decrease your pain and it will help heal. It'll help send stem cells to your bones to make sure that your bones get stronger, and it will make sure that it reinforces your body. Does that make sense? Pretty good news, I'd say, right? Myth number 4, resistance training will bulk me up. I've had a lot of women come to me and say, I don't want to lift weights. I don't want to get bulky. I can promise you, it takes a lot of work to get bulky, especially for a woman. Okay? Resistance training is one of the most important exercises you could possibly do. We have people here who they want to maximize their hormones, stay lean, have high energy. We can agree that probably most of us want that. Okay? Strength training is preventive medicine for diabetes. Basically did a study showing that resistance training and how your body responds to resistance training causes you to be more sensitive to insulin, which means that your brain gets the signal of insulin. It also means you increase your response to leptin, which is the full hormone. So a lot of people who feel like they have sugar cravings constantly, strength training is one of the first things that will cure a sugar craving. Resistance training. It'll get your insulin sensitivity up, and it'll get your hormone balance in place, and it'll help you stop feeling like you've got cravings constantly. Okay? So remember, when it comes to resistance training is for everyone. Every one of you should be resistance training. Another reason, when your muscles are tugging on your joints and bones, it sends a message to your body to reinforce the bone so it doesn't break. How many people think reinforced bone is a good thing? That's bone mass. That's bone density. So when you resistance train, when you tug and pull on your skeletal system, when your muscles are working, your body will reinforce and send resources to your bones to make sure that your bones stay strong. Does that make sense? It's good stuff. All right, myth number 5. Rigorous exercise is the only right way. This is not the case at all. And actually, the majority of the studies that I see actually show a lot more consistent benefit with moderate exercise, moderate intensity. I guess the flip side of this is actually burst training, where if you do rigorous activity for 15 to 20 minutes, it's actually extremely beneficial to your body. And you don't end up getting in such an oxygen deficit that it begins to break your body down. So rigorous activity for short bursts of time, 15 to 20-minute workouts, and then making sure that you have adequate time to recover afterwards is a great way to do it. But other than that, if you don't need to run 26.2 miles someday, don't train like it. And don't think that you need to exercise that way. Okay? If you do not need to run 6 miles tomorrow or 6 miles 2 months from now, don't train to run 6 miles. And don't think that if you didn't run 3 or 4 miles today, that you somehow failed. Because that isn't necessarily the only form of fitness. And people who are fit that way aren't necessarily healthy, right? Okay. More is always better. I have talked with people who I've done consults with, and they will literally feel like they're failing when they're only getting 4 days of exercise a week in. How many people here would be elated with 4 days a week of exercise? You should be. 4 days a week of exercise is phenomenal amount of exercise, especially if you're doing it precisely and efficiently, if you're doing the right stuff. More is not always better. One of the most important parts of exercise and the breakdown of your body when you are exercising, when you're tearing muscle fibers and things like that, because that's what happens when you're exercising. You're actually breaking muscle down. One of the most beneficial things about it is actually the rebuild. Remember when I was talking about lifting that weight and how my muscle would grow? The reason a bicep grows is because the muscle fibers tear. And when they come back together with more volume. They're reinforced. Rest and recovery is just as important as the activity itself. Do not think that extreme exercise or rigorous exercise day after day after day is good for you. Because it is extremely hard to stay healthy when you are asking your body for that much movement and energy. You have got to give your body time to heal and rest. And this is another reason why whole foods and supplements are such a big factor in my life. Is they're part of the recovery process, because when I work out, I do short bursts of rigorous exercise. And it's very important to me that when I am doing that for my structural health, that I make sure that I provide my body with a thank you with what I eat, and making sure that I get the essential nutrients supplemented. Myth number 7, exercise is to burn calories and lose weight. I don't want to spend a whole bunch of time on this because people, you could argue this point left side, right side, upside, and down. Exercising does not necessarily govern whether you're burning a certain amount of calories or not. Okay,